back to the Pregnancy and Postnatal Entrepreneurs Connective podcast in conjunction with Your Birth Biz. I am your host, Niamh Cassidy, IBCLC and business coach and mentor for birth and postpartum workers. I'm really excited about today's episode because we are going to discuss how we all have the same 24 hours. But do we really? A lot of people do say it. They say we all have the same 24 hours. But anyone building a business while also trying to raise children, support clients, and managing real life knows that that's not the full story. In this episode, we are going to unpack it all. We're going to unpack the truth about time, capacity, and seasons of growth. You'll learn why balance isn't always the goal, how to work with your current life seasons instead of against it, and why your business is just like a baby, demanding at first, but more independent with time. This is an honest conversation about sustainable business growth for birth workers who want to succeed and have a life. So let's dive in. So I opened with us all having the same 24 hours. And yeah, technically, I suppose there's 24 hours in every single person's day. But life is real, and just because that physical time is the exact same, it doesn't mean that we all have the same time to give to different tasks. Time equality doesn't equal opportunity equality. Responsibilities change what those hours actually look like. So when we have kids that take up a lot of our time, we don't have the same amount of time that we can give to building our businesses as, say, someone in their 20s who doesn't have children. Also, a lot of us are at the stage in our life where we don't just have care and responsibilities for our children, but we may have care and responsibilities for our parents or disabled siblings as well. And all of these care and responsibilities also bring a lot of emotional labor. And then when we throw in the actual client work, the actual fulfillment of our business services, there really is a lot going on. And this is especially relevant for us as birth workers because many of us do have caring roles ourselves. Most of us are parents, and a lot of us will have some of those other responsibilities, as I said. And we have to make sure we always think about the context that we're building our businesses in, and also the context of the people who were following and who were listening and how they built their businesses. One of my main people that I looked up to when I was building my business, or two of them, were Amy Porterfield and Carrie Green. Amy Porterfield doesn't have any children of her own, and Carrie Green does now, but she had well built her business before she had kids. So both of those people had a lot more time to focus on building their business than most of us do. So I'm not saying that one person is better than the other or that one person works harder than the other. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just that we have to recognize that there are differences in the capacity that some of us have in relation to the capacity that someone else has due to circumstances. And comparing your pace to theirs is comparing different starting lines, and it's not going to do you any favors. So instead of wondering why your business isn't growing as fast as other people's or why you're slower, just start looking at what capacity do I actually have. And when we're looking at capacity, we want to look at what capacity we think we currently have, and is there any capacity that we can build into our lives by maybe changing priorities in different places. Because we have to actually remember that growing a business does take work. There's a lot of wonderful information out there about manifesting, about growing and building businesses with ease, but all of it comes down to the fact that you actually have to do the things that get you there in the first place. It doesn't just magically fall into place. So especially in the first 1 to 2 years, we really are in that building phase, and it really does take a lot of time and energy. So while I want you to have compassion for your capacity and your time limits right now and your reality, we need to do that without pretending that effort isn't required, because it is. So while having less responsibility may lead to faster growth and having more responsibility may lead to a slower growth pace, it doesn't mean that being slower is failing. It's just accepting that that's the way it is and putting in the energy where you can. And I really don't think that balance is the goal. Balance sounds like the scales, like we're trying to weigh both sides equally. Whereas that's just not the reality. We're not going to spend exactly an equal amount of time on our business and exactly an equal amount of time on our family or our other life things that we like to do, self-care or whatever that might be. So what we're looking at more is like a pendulum. So sometimes the pendulum is swinging towards family responsibility or self-responsibilities, and sometimes it's swinging more towards work responsibilities. And there might be different stages in life where that is happening. So, for example, if you are building your business, but you just had a newborn baby, your pendulum is going to be well and truly on the family side most of the time. If you are at a stage where all of your children are in school and you are ready to build your business, your pendulum might be swinging more towards the work side, and you're giving more focus and energy into work because that's what needs your focus and energy right now. But also, we have to remember that that pendulum can swing from day to day. So I might be fully focused on my work one day, and then the kids are off sick. So it's got to swing straight back into the family. And we need to allow that pendulum to swing and to find its own messy middle at different times as well. And I've had a lot of real life examples where that pendulum has had to swing the other way. So if you've been following me for a while, you'll know a couple of years ago that my mum had a really bad fall and broke her hip. And I was about to go into a big launch for the Nest program at the time. And when I really had to slow that down because my skills around kind of organizing, and I used to be a social care worker. So I was able to contact the social worker in the hospital, get onto the rehab hospital, and really kind of help coordinate all of that care. So my focus shifted into my family of origin then and away from the business, even though I was supposed to be gearing up for a launch. So I had to delay things a little bit. And then another example, my family seemed to be accident prone. Then last year, my husband had a bad car accident while he was cycling and a car hit him. And again, I was gearing up for a launch in the Nest program, and I had to swing straight back into family mode because that is where my time and attention was needed. So we need to be able to have that little bit of flexibility and to be able to understand that we need to kind of have buffers in how we work that will allow us that capacity to be flexible. But I think that's probably a whole other podcast episode, and I have talked about it in different episodes as well. So we won't get too much into that. The point is that life doesn't know that you're about to go into a launch or that you're in a busy season. Life will just happen regardless, and having that capacity to be able to accommodate those things when they happen is important. And most importantly, it doesn't mean that you're failing or that you've done anything wrong. So to make all of this make sense, I like to think of your business as a baby. So when you're starting your business, it's like a newborn. It needs loads of care and attention. It needs your full-time commitment. It needs a lot of input from you. As things start to get into a bit of a flow and the fog starts to lift in the business, it becomes a little bit more like a toddler. So it's still quite demanding, but the intensity may have lessened a little bit. So we've got some systems, some structures in place that are working. Everything isn't as chaotic as it used to be when they were a newborn, when your business was a newborn. And we're able to delegate a little bit more maybe to other people as well at that stage in the business. And then what we're trying to do is bring our business into fruition like our children. So we're trying to bring our business to a place that it's a teenager, that it's an adult, that a lot of it is self-sufficient, that it just runs easily. We're most likely still fulfilling the client work. We're still the ones meeting the clients, doing that type of work. But all the systems in the background are set up. The referral systems are set up. We're not searching for clients all the time. We're not building our websites. We're not building our email lists. A lot of that is already working really, really clearly. So while we want to get to a point, I said earlier about that having a business or building a business isn't easy, but we want to get to a point that we build a business that is easy to run. But that doesn't mean that it's easy right from the start. We have to put in that work of nurturing that newborn business at the start to get to that adult business. So when you hear people saying, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, we can just go and ignore them because everyone's capacity and everyone's responsibilities are different. And it's okay if your growth, because of the stage of life that you're in, is slower than someone else's growth because they are at a different stage in life. But at the same time, as I said, it is still important that if we have goals and we have a bit of an idea and something that we want to build, that effort does need to be in, and we need to look at where can we put in that effort and where can we nurture that newborn to get it to that adult business that we want it to be. But remember, you are allowed to grow your business slowly. You are allowed to build it around your life, and you're allowed to honor your real capacity. And really, you absolutely should, because otherwise you will burn out before you get that adult business. So when you're thinking about the workload in your business, have a think about, what season am I in at the moment? Am I in a season where I can go all in, or am I in a season where I'm just going to chip away at little bits as I go along? Or even on a daily basis, asking yourself, where is my pendulum today? You know, am I full steam ahead into work, or am I full steam ahead into family, or is it somewhere in the middle on that particular day? So being able to ask yourself, what is actually realistic for me in this phase? And what stage is my business in? So what does it need from me? And remember, you probably don't need more strategies. You probably need a better idea of what your capacity is and where your pendulum needs to be. So I hope you have enjoyed this shorty episode. I have really enjoyed having this conversation with you. I would love to continue the conversation in our free Facebook group. So you will find the details of that in the show notes, and come join us and let's have a chat. Bye for now.